I fear that the next part might become a little tricky to film and work at the same time, because, well, my hands will be all over the place. So what I want to do now, I think I need to bury this tree a little more, because if you see, this is a real nice root starts, and there's no roots on this part of the rock. Now, of course, you still want to see a piece of the rock. And you don't have to cover the whole rock with roots, but this could be a nice touch, and it's not going to work unless I put the tree up to here in substrate. Same for this root. It's going to dry out and die, and then there will be nothing there. Well, this pot, it's maybe not that important, but because there are already lots of roots. This one, same, there's a feeder root here, and there are just a few here under the ground, but might be safer to use this one as well. So I'm going to put this in the ground as well as I can. And tons of roots here, so this is a luxury problem. I'm going to have to choose a few roots here in the future, but that's not a problem. It's always easy to cut some, it's not easy to add some. But this needs to be sorted out a little better. But probably in the future, maybe next year, if I have to choose a few roots, I'll just cut the others off. This might be a little problem. I want these roots to stick a little closer to the trunk, so therefore I'm going to use a piece of foam and the raffia. I'll use the same as I used last year. There's no reason to get another. As long as it works, it's good. Just make another incision so that the foam does not move too much. That's a horrible noise. Okay, like so. I'm going to bundle these a little. Here, realize that I'm missing a hand, like every time. Start with a little twist. That's not bad. That's not bad at all. And I'm going to get a few extra pieces of foam, maybe, just to add, and push under this raffia. Oh, that's not very sharp scissors, but it does the trick. So I'm cutting a few wedges that I can use to push the rocks a little more toward the roots, a little more towards the rock. Looks silly. But I think that's the best way to do it. These roots are crossing, I don't like that. I'm going to try to do a little better here. See, this one is going over this one. So even if I lift this out of the pot, well, definitely something I must deal with now. Yep, and I think I can press this a little more towards the rock. Well, I'm quite happy. I saw the videos on this tree yesterday to remind me how it was all going in under the ground. Now, even if you don't think of starting your own YouTube channel, it's always something to do. It helps you remember what you did, and it helps. Yeah, this might be a whole lot better if I can push it a whole lot back. I'm going to try that. Foam is so much better than wood to do these kind of things, because it always takes the shape of the thing you're pushing it onto. Now, if you think of starting a route over rock, it's something I wanted to say, but I forgot every time. Go with a rock that is a little too big, because your tree will grow and, well, your rock will not. So that's something to keep in mind. Okay, I'm going to put the plastic surrounding now. I think it's okay. Yep. So these are just two pieces of a plastic bottle. I'm going to hold together by some power tape, duct tape. It's not very elegant, but it does the trick. And I'm going to cover this up with nice substrate now. And fill up every hole. The whole thing is now filled up, and I gave it a good watering. Now, as you might see, before we started this repot, none of these roots were visible, and now I'm attempting to let these survive. But as you see, some of the small parts, well, they won't make it. They're going to die off. Some natural selection will occur here, and that's good. That's what we need. Only the strong will survive here. Still trying to sort out some of these things. This one, well, won't make it. But at least we have a healthy tree. And, well, I realized that this plastic thing is not really nice to look at, but a dead tree isn't nice to look at either. So this was probably the best thing I could come up with. So we have a nice start of a root base here, and then as we move on the tree, we see that we have a whole lot of new little buds emerging from this branch. And with maples it is important to do a bud selection, so right from the start this is obvious, you don't going to need that one. And then you see a whole lot of new buds here. There are a few buds at the end of this branch. but these ones are obviously much better positioned. This one is pointing directly to that part, so well, I don't know, and I'm going to leave it now, but this stump can be removed. There are two buds here, there are two buds here, two buds here, so definitely if I want this branch to thicken, I should do nothing, but I think I'm going to take it back up to here. Maples, they die back, so watch out with this. Okay, so we have this branch here, which is something I will have to deal with soon, because this is a branch that starts from this point. Well, it's this root, and it comes through the hole here in the tree. It comes out this way, and then we follow it. It makes a turn and goes back, and then comes out here. So, well, that's because I want this root to fuse with this part of the tree, and I want to thicken this. But what I see here is a nice bud, and well, probably this part is going to swell gigantically. So if I can put this part through this hole and make it emerge here, fusion will be faster. So I'm going to take a piece of wood to give this a little push. 1 second. I made a small wedge with an old dead branch, and I'm going to push this bud down in order not to damage it, and try to get this through the hole, which is not too difficult, like so. This is good, and now I'm going to push this wedge, still holding the branch, like this, and compress this so that I can obtain two results. First of all, the new buds, well, it's a little too far now, because what I want to do is as follows. Yeah, that's good. Going to zoom in. So the bud here is about to grow, and of course this branch will thicken, and it will start to push against this part of the trunk, and there will be fusion, of course. And if there is a fusion there, well, it will thicken, and the graft will be as I want it. Another thing that I should try to obtain is fusion here, but this is very tight. I think it's going to be yeah, it will work on its own. Okay, so let's work our way up. Now here we have this really bad wound, but it's not that bad. And since we changed the angle of the tree, 1 second, I'm going to change the view. So since we changed the angle of the tree, everything is, well, a little upside down. So this branch can be used, I think. Here we have lots of buds, so the ones pointing at the bottom I will just remove by pinching them. A little one in the middle can be removed, one pointing directly up. I'll snip it away. This is going to be, well, absolutely not useful. So here is another bud. And then we come to this portion where, of course, this branch is not good. Same here, bud selection again. Very important on maples, always do a bud selection. The buds are pointing in the direction where the leaves will grow. So if you wait long enough, before doing it, you're going to save yourself a lot of trouble. There's little buds everywhere. I'm going to leave them, except of course here this fork can go. Here is one. I don't know if I need it, but it might help close this wound. Here is a little guy, but of course I have this branch here, so I don't need this one. Tons of little buds here. I think this branch could be wired down a little in the future. So of course this one is obsolete. This is nice. And if I keep this branch, I do not need the bud here. So okay, so for the upper part now maybe I keep these two and I remove this. Don't cut too close with maples, they always die back a little. Okay, so let's zoom in a little more and let's have a look at this portion here. So I made a little graft, can't help it. If I need a branch, I'm going to graft it, but I'm going to remove the graft now, and I don't know if it is taken, but it really doesn't matter. You'll see why in a few seconds. Anyway, I'm going to leave it. If it worked, it's always nice. Grafting maples is really not a big deal. If you do approach grafts, of course, that's the only graft I can do. Other grafts are quite difficult. But as you see, it might have been successful. You don't see anything here. Yeah, here it is. Here it is. So it's... no, I don't think it's completely taken, but I gave it a shot, so just cutting it loose here. And why don't I really care? Well, because I have buds here and I have buds here, so well, it doesn't really matter, you see. The graft is here and the new buds are there, so well, it does not matter. Some of these will grow. Okay, now for the top of the tree. This is quite kind of interesting. I have a new bud here. I don't know if I'm going to use it. I have two little buds here, and so I won't need this. Same at the back. Two small buds here, so I'm not going to use that. And of course you might ask yourself, well, if you're cutting back everything every year, how will you ever obtain a tree? Well, that's an excellent question, but the thing is, especially with maples, this is an old stump, you will have to slow down the top part, because otherwise you're going to have a finished top part, because these trees are really apically dominant, and you will have nothing at the bottom of your tree, and that's what you don't want. You want your tree to grow evenly. Last little snip I want to make is here, where I have a little bud emerging from this branch, but maybe I just remove this stump here, and we have a few buds here that we will not need, and I'm going to remove this little stump, and I think that's gonna be it. I'll remove the wire that I installed, because I don't want any cutting in, and that's gonna be it. So to conclude, always check new buds on maples. It's really important, because you can lose time or gain time with this. And every time you have to cut off a thick branch, well, you have a scar. If you remove the bud, you won't have any problem at all. So this is the tree ready for the growing season. I hope you liked the video. So thank you for watching and see you next time.